All right, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever stared down the barrel of a massive, comprehensive university math exam and just felt that immediate rising panic of not knowing where to even begin, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we are unpacking a truly fascinating blueprint for conquering college algebra. And the best part, it completely throws out those massive, heavy textbooks and replaces them with a highly surgical, day-by-day plan driven entirely by YouTube video explanations.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. First up, the exam study blueprint. Second, learning through YouTube videos. Third, 6 units of algebra. Fourth, the 7-day study routine. And finally, conquering the final exam.
Section 1, the exam study blueprint.
So when we talk about the massive challenge of passing a rigorous university math course, it's not really just about knowing a few formulas, right? It's about synthesizing weeks and weeks of complex lectures into something you can actually pull from your brain under intense exam pressure. And what's so cool here is that this blueprint doesn't just offer generic advice. It was literally engineered for a specific student, Machir, an economics major at IBA Karachi, who is gearing up to face Assistant Professor Syed Shujat Hussein's Summer 2026 algebra course. The mission is incredibly targeted: achieve absolute mastery over lectures 8 through 13. By looking at a plan designed for a real student with a real impending exam, we actually get to see what boots-on-the-ground exam prep looks like. I mean, think about the traditional way we're all taught to study. You're probably picturing yourself reading dense, incredibly dry textbooks, maybe passively highlighting a few pages, and just sort of wandering aimlessly through messy class notes. Well, this blueprint completely rejects that outdated method. Instead, it introduces this highly efficient problem and solution framework. This mastery method relies on relentless, targeted YouTube video explanations, immediate daily practice sets, and strict cold testing to enforce accountability. Honestly, it's more like a high-intensity workout for your brain rather than a passive reading session.
Section 2, learning through YouTube videos. Now, the beating heart of this entire strategy, it's leveraging free YouTube video explanations to totally bypass textbook confusion. The source material is surprisingly explicit about where you should get your information. It strictly dictates prioritizing 4 specific channels: the Organic Chemistry Tutor, Khan Academy, Professor Leonard, and Patrick JMT. It notes that these are the well-established, consistently high-quality channels for this exact level of algebra and trigonometry. This completely removes the guesswork. You don't have to scour the internet or fall down some algorithm rabbit hole hoping to find a decent teacher. The blueprint essentially curates the best digital educators right for you.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how tactical this plan really is. It literally maps every single complex math concept you need to know directly to an exact copy-paste YouTube search term. Like, if you need to learn the polar representation of a complex number, you don't just type in a general search, you specifically search polar form of complex number organic chemistry tutor. Need the Pythagorean identity? You type Pythagorean identity proof unit circle. This highly specific video targeting means you don't waste a single minute on irrelevant content. It is precision-guided learning at its finest. Section 3, 6 units of algebra. Okay, so what exactly are we learning with all these videos? Well, it is a heavy, highly rigorous matrix of math concepts. You have to navigate from the standard forms and locus definitions of a parabola in Unit 6, and then dive deep into trigonometry basics, polar forms, and some pretty massive proofs in trig identities for Unit 7 and 8. After that, it's straight into the laws of sine and cosine in Unit 9, graphing trig functions and solving equations in Unit 10, before finally wrapping up with the heavy conceptual lifting of relations, functions, domains, and ranges in Unit 11. Wow, that is a massive amount of ground to cover. But here is where the blueprint really proves its immense value. It dramatically cuts through the noise by actually revealing a confirmed exam question right in the practice set for Unit 6. You are explicitly told that you will be tested on finding the equation of a parabola given a non-standard focus and directrix. The plan even instructs you to do this exact specific problem twice during your practice. I mean, this level of exam-focused intelligence is exactly what separates passive studying from strategic, guaranteed mastery.
Section 4, the 7-day study routine.
All right, so we know the tools and we know our target, but how do you actually digest this heavy curriculum over a single week without totally burning out? Well, the chronological journey is meticulously paced. You dedicate between an hour and a half to 2 hours every single day to conquer exactly one specific unit at a time. So day 1 is purely the parabola. Day 3 expands to 2 hours because, let's face it, trig identities are really heavy on proofs.
Day 5 focuses on trig graphs for an hour and a half. And Day 7, that is reserved entirely for a full revision. It's basically a massive marathon broken down into highly manageable daily sprints. Now, within each of those daily 1.5 to 2 hour blocks, there is a relentless 4-step workflow loop. Step 1, watch those highly targeted YouTube video explanations we just talked about, which usually takes about 40 to 60 minutes. Step 2, bridge the gap back to your professor by redoing the specific class activity slides from that lecture. Step 3, grind through a tailored 8 to 11 question practice set. And finally, Step 4, pass the end-of-day check. This loop is what guarantees you actually retain the material. And that Step 4, the end-of-day check, introduces a super critical concept, the cold test. A cold test is a confidence check where you have to solve a rigorous problem from scratch, completely from memory, with absolutely zero notes. Here is the vital rule tied to this. You are absolutely not allowed to move on to the next day's material until you pass this test. If you fail, you don't restudy the whole unit. Instead, you spend 20 extra minutes laser-focused on the exact concept that broke. This is what ensures total, uncompromising mastery before you blindly move forward.
Section 5. Conquering the final exam.
Which brings us right to Day 7. This is where all that daily preparation culminates into ultimate exam assurance. The crucial point here is that Day 7 does not start with you casually flipping through a textbook. No, it kicks off with the number 12. Specifically, a grueling 12-question cold test drawn entirely at random, picking 2 questions from each of the 6 units practice sets. You sit down for 45 minutes with 0 notes, and you simulate the exact pressure of the final exam. Honestly, the structure of this final revision day is incredible. After surviving that 12-question cold test, you don't just give yourself a letter grade and move on. You actually list out every single hesitation or mistake you made. This becomes your hit list. You then target this hit list by rewatching just 1 short YouTube video explanation and doing exactly 2 questions per week concept. Finally, you write all the massive key formulas like the law of cosines or Heron's formula strictly from memory. It is an entire day dedicated solely to identifying and completely destroying your remaining weak spots. And regarding that final formula memorization step, the blueprint has one brilliant, absolutely non-negotiable piece of advice. Don't write any formula you aren't certain of. Leave it blank, then look it up. That blank is your last gap. This is such a huge revelation because it forces true honesty in your learning. You literally can't fake it. You can't just guess and tell yourself, oh yeah, I totally knew that. If you don't know it cold, you leave it blank, and that blank physically shows you exactly what you need to fix before exam day. It's just a fascinating, modern approach to studying that completely replaces outdated reading with targeted YouTube video explanations and really brutal self-testing. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Think about the absolute hardest subject you are facing right now. If you stopped passively reading textbooks and instead applied this relentless, highly structured 7-day YouTube video explanation mastery blueprint to it, could you guarantee yourself a perfect exam score? It's definitely worth finding out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy studying!